All right, guys, welcome to session 3 in Ignites. Today is going to be a very exciting session because we're going to get into the juice of things about learning more about how to become a real estate expert. Connect with your market. It's going to be a very interesting topic, and we're going to answer questions that come to your mind a lot about what information should we know as we are talking to clients and as we are prospecting and as we are having intelligent conversations with anybody we meet. Okay, so back to the course overview, and I want to refresh your memory. We started session 1 with Spark Your Career, and it was mainly about a new way of thinking, a mindset, a positive mindset in real estate, and the 6 personal perspectives. If you remember the 6 personal perspectives, commit to self-mastery, number 1. Number 2, commit to the 20-80 principle. Number 3, move from E to P, entrepreneurial to purposeful. And number 4, being learning based and take an action plan on that. And number 5, remove any limited thoughts. And number 6, be accountable. That was all what was Spark Your Career about. And for number 2, session 2 was Embrace Your Job, and it was mainly about the fiduciary duty to your clients, whether it was a seller or buyer, and at the same time for your business, because you're the CEO of your own business, the 6 core competencies of your business, which was lead generate, capture, and make appointments, present to buyers and sellers to make them sign agreements, show buyers and market sellers, write and negotiate contracts, coordinate the sale to closing, and manage your own money. And we're going to go into all that in details throughout the framework as we see. And now we're in session 3, connect with your market. And all this is step 3 in the first segment of becoming a real estate expert of choice. And as I mentioned before, and I always like to stress, we want to be trained to be real estate experts because we're already real estate agents. Anybody can be a real estate agent, but the idea is how can you be distinguished from all the other agents? With you're taking the right path in becoming that. We're going to learn today, connect to your markets, and we're going to see that. The second phase, which will be starting on that next week, is lead generation, and after that, lead follow-up, and after that, the transaction and the details in the transaction. They're all 20 sessions, and right now, 3 out of 20. Any questions about what we took so far before we start today's session? Anything that came up or a situation you had with your clients or potential clients or as you were lead generating or a conversation? What are people saying when they knew that you were in real estate? What were people saying? Congratulations, I want you to sell my home. I want to buy a home. Okay, yeah, okay. Did you ask for business?
Yes.
Good. What did they say?
I've given business cards personally to everybody, and then also just put the ask out there to if they ever have anybody that's also interested in purchasing or selling their home.
Okay.
To give them money as well.
Good. You did the same? Nothing. It's okay. Just you get into it. You just need to get your feet wet. That's all. Okay. So now we see where we are in the framework of the course. Now let's look at today's agenda. Let me just. Okay. So today's agenda, we're going to be learning, know your market, build your expertise, utilize the resources that KW has to offer you, and the recaps and ahas and the daily success habits as we usually take them. So, your entire success in communicating with your clients is all going to be revolving about how you know your market and how you build your expertise. Because when you do lead generate, as we're going to learn on the future sessions, and you follow up, eventually you're going to have to talk shop. You're going to have to talk about real estate and how good you show your knowledge, how committed your clients are going to be to you, how you're going to convince them to sign the buyer agreement or the listing agreement after hearing your listing presentation. So you got to know your market and know how to present. So Gary Keller has a quote in his book, The Millionaire Real Estate Agents. Here's the truth. If it has been done in another market, it can be done in your market. Once it has been done, no matter where, it's just a matter of finding out how that can be possible in your world. So if we see someone succeeding in a certain market, in a certain city, you can always be like that and even better. Whether it was the market that can be applied here, even if the market has different numbers. The only difference is the numbers between one city and another, one market and another. Or if it's a special agent, that special agent just worked hard. He followed the protocols, and he was able to produce, and he was consistent in how he lead generated. He identified what lead generation brought him more business, and he focused on that, the 20-80 principle. So always have the mindset, if that agent could do it, or if it's happening in that market, I can do it just like that agent and better in my market. Always have that mindset. Don't think there is no way I'm going to be like, look at how he does, look at how she does. Don't think that way. You can. You just have to have the right mindset and do what it takes. Now let's talk about know your market. So knowing and connecting with your market is all about research and preparation. That's what it's all about. It's not about someone being smarter or someone who's been 20 years in the business. It's all about research and preparation. If you do the proper research one day or a few hours about a certain city, or like a comparative market analysis, or you need to know what's happening in the market, you can do that research and prepare so you can present your client, whether that client was a buyer or a seller. But the question is, what are the things we need to know about our markets? Because it's very broad when we say the market. So what do we need to know? What do you guys think?
I would say the area in which you're helping your
So, okay, any stats we need to know? I just want to see. Schools, okay, that's good. Just want to see if there's somebody who wants to get in or something I'm missing. I think everybody's in, right? Okay. Good, okay. Okay. So, we summarized it for you, what you need to know, because there's a lot of information that are out there. But there is the main things you need to know as a real estate agent. Because when I was a new real estate agent, I didn't start at Keller Williams. But Keller Williams has like a curriculum that you need to follow in order to be intelligent when it comes to that. But I had to figure it out for my own what I need to do until I came to Keller Williams, which boosted my career. So you need to know the type of market you're in, okay? And we're going to discuss in detail. We need to know the inventory. We need to know interest rates and loans or the lenders. We need to know economic factors, and we need to know other factors, and the other factors are basically the neighborhood-specific factors, okay? These are the 5 main things you need to know about knowing your market. So when I say type of market, we're going to start with the first one. What do you think type of market means? Just take a while, guys. And by the way, guys, whoever is on Zoom, just don't chat, just unmute yourself and speak out, because I can't see what you're chatting if you're saying something or you have a question. So if you have a question or you want to say something, just unmute yourself and feel free to interrupt me. Don't worry about it. Okay?
For type of market, I would say buyers or sellers market.
Very good. So what types of market are there? Okay. You said buyer's market, seller's market. Is there more? Three types. What do you think the third one would be? But that's very good. It will be the one in the middle. Balanced market. Because it's not going to always be sellers, not always going to be buyers, but it could be the one in the middle. So what's the difference between, I'm sure you guys know that, you must. What's the difference between a seller's market and a buyer's market, from your perspective?
the seller's going to get the better end of the deal in the seller's market, vice versa the buyer.
Okay. So what are like the symptoms of a seller's market? What it was the factors that would say when we look at the market and say, okay, that market is a seller's market. I'm going to give you exact definitions right now, but we know right now it's a seller's market because everybody's saying that. But what are, the factors that have to happen to see that it's a seller's market? Okay, prices on homes are higher, exactly. They're selling over asking price, exactly. Inventory is low. Number of buyers is much more than the number of sellers in the market. All these are factors, and homes are selling quickly. Average days on market are. And another factor that we need to look at is months of inventory. That's the measuring we're going to use for that. So buyer's market has more than 6 months of inventory. Balanced market has about 6 months of inventory, and seller's market less than 6 months of inventory. So, is there a question? Okay, so somebody was going to say something. Okay, so this is how we know we're in a buyer's market or a seller's market. There's other, of course, ways we can know, like the ones I mentioned before this, or there's something called market action index. You can find the market action index from like an Altos, it's a research website that will tell you a score. It's a score that tells you if it's over 30, it's a seller's market. The higher it goes, it will be like an extreme seller's market. If it's below 30, it will be a buyer's market. That's another way of knowing. But the general rule is if you have 6 months of inventory, more than that, it's a buyer's market. Less than 6 months of inventory, it's a seller's market. And balanced market is 6 months of inventory. Any questions about that so far? So the first step is knowing that, and knowing your market is knowing the type of market. So you just got to figure out. And another thing about that I want to add, just because it's a seller's market, let's say in the South Bay Area, and let's say in Rancho Palos Verdes and Torrance, that does not mean if we go to Irvine, it's a seller's market. We have to see the numbers there as well, because the numbers may differ. Okay. Okay, if someone doesn't have a question, if they can mute themselves, that would be great, because somehow there's a background noise that's coming in. So make sure you guys are all muted. And okay, very good, thank you. So not necessarily every city or every market is going to be the same as the other. We can say overall, for example, California is a seller's market, but we got to go specific by county, even by city, to determine if that market is, depending on what client we're selling the home at, okay? So that's the first type of market, in knowing your market. The second thing in knowing your market is inventory. So what is inventory? What is your information about inventory? What do you know about it?
The number of properties for sale on the market.
Okay, exactly. Just like on the screen, exactly. So exactly, it's the number of homes for sale. Exactly, it's the number of homes for sale. But I want to go back to the previous slide for a second. Notice how it says 6 months of inventory. You always hear that when you hear agents sometimes, I don't know if you noticed or not, agents speaking, they say, oh, it's like 3 months of inventory and 2 months. So we always, what does that mean? Okay. Well, month of inventory is the number of months it would take to sell all the active listings at a given end date of a month. So let's say at the end of March, there was like 50 listings active for sale, okay? And we know there is 5 months of inventory. So that means those 50 listings are going to take them 5 months to sell based on prior calculations. And there is a calculation for that. The formula for that, I'll tell you so that you know. Months of inventory is you get the active listings, and you can get that from the MLS. You all have access to MLS, right? Okay. You get the active listings at the month end of, for example, March. When April 30 comes, you take that. Let's say you have 50 listings for a certain city, okay? you divide that by the prior sales of the prior month. Okay? That will give you your month of inventory. So it can get it like 5 months, 4 months and a half, 3 months, whatever that number is. So let's take an example.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, okay. Okay, no, okay. Let's say, so to be on March 31st, the number of active listings was, let's say 50. 50 homes for sale, okay? And I don't want to, this is just a general example, but of course, when you're doing a single family home, try to get only single family homes. We're doing townhomes, only townhomes. So don't put single family homes and condos because it won't be an accurate representation. So try to be as, but just let's say right now, number of active listings, whatever you choose, let's say single family homes is 50 at the end of March 31st. The amount of sales, okay, for the month of February, for the entire month of February, the number of units that sold were, let's say 10. Okay? These are the ones that sold. Are you with me so far?
Yes.
So 10 homes sold in the prior month in February, but at the end of March 31st, there was 50 homes available for sale. So the month of inventory is active listings divided by the units that sold in the prior month. So that'll be 50 divided by 10. That would give us 5 months of inventory. Okay? Does that make sense? You can always, sometimes there is some research sites that can give you that, but this is always good to know because sometimes you need to go specific areas, and of course that's how you want to look. But that's how it is. You just get the active listings at the end of a certain month, and then go to prior month and see how many units sold. And you get divide that number by that number, you're going to get the number of months of inventory. Sometimes we hear a term called absorption rate. I'm just giving you extra information that's not in the curriculum here, but yeah. Absorption rate is the inverse of the number of months. So inverse of that means you take that 5 months and you divide it by 1. Okay, so it will give you 1 divided by 5 is 20%.
Yeah.
Okay, so when you have an absorption rate of 20%, that means whatever listings you have for sale right now, 20% of that were sold in 30 days. In 30 days, yeah, in 1 month. So the higher the absorption rate, the hotter the market. Okay. But all these numbers are easy. You're probably hearing it for the first time. Some people are good with math, some not. It will just take you a while to absorb it, but it's very simple, you know. Okay. Now we can go to the next slide. Any questions about? I think on Zoom you guys can see me on the screen or not? You didn't see me? Anyway, you guys can email me and I'll email you the formulas for that. It's okay. It's not on because it wasn't part of the thing on Ignite's slides. Anyway, so if I ask you right now, what is the inventory in your market? And when I say your market, it could be it's not necessarily where the market our office is. It could be the market that you're farming. Maybe you're sitting here and you decide to farm Gardena, for example. So wherever you're farming. So you need to know the inventory because when you're farming and you're trying to cultivate for clients, you're eventually going to get a client who's going to come and ask you questions. So you always have to know your numbers, especially if you meet with a buyer who wants to buy in a certain city or a seller who wants to sell in a certain city. You have to know your numbers very well. So when he asks a question, you'll give him a sharp answer. Because there are situations when you might be asked a question and you don't know and you're going to tell him, I'll get back to you. I'm just going to make my research and let you know. But if every question he asks, you're going to say that, he's going to think you don't know what you're doing. So always know your numbers. What is the inventory in your market? Yeah, go ahead. Yes.
Do you take time out of your day, every day, to just go over the markets for every all the areas near here, just read a brief, or do you only do it as needed?
It depends. if it depends on my client needs. If I know I'm going to have a discussion with a client about a certain city, I would do that. I personally like to make videos on my YouTube channel every month, so that's where I make my research and put it on my YouTube channel. So it depends on the situation. But everybody's different. And as I mentioned, we're going to go through a lot of lead generation methods. You're all going to try it all, and then you're going to see what fits you best, what gets you more business. So whatever that does, just be ready to give that information to your clients whenever you get a lead. So know what is the inventory in your market. Next question. What is the average number of days on the markets? And you can also get that from the MLS. See how long homes sell. That's very important when you go on a listing presentation. You gotta set the expectations, and we're going to go through that in detail in session 15. Win the seller. You gotta tell the seller, homes on your area, average days on market stay for that long. So that's expected. Your home will sell, for example, in 43 days for $950,000 based on the market, for example. So you got to know the numbers. All you need to do is just research and pull the information and know it. That's it. It's very simple. And not every market is going to be the other. So you could be doing research every day on Rancho Palos Verdes and Torrance, and then you get a client who wants to sell his home in Carson. So you got to shift and look in the Carson area, pull Carson, and get the information. Because you're not necessarily going to get the leads unless you're really doing heavy lead generation and you're focusing on a certain city. Of course, you're going to get results more.
Do you ever find a need, so for that specific question, what is the average number of days that home stays on the market? I know we can pull a general number off of MLS based off of the market that we're farming. So say, for example, it's Rancho Palos Verdes.
Mm-hmm.
Is there ever a time or a need, I guess, where you would have to look at the average number of days of a home on a market at a specific price point? Is that also a good metric to know and give, if that makes sense?
So for a specific home, in what?
The average number of days a home stays on the market, say for example, it's 60. For the average number.
Yeah, because they take 10 homes and then they see how long it sells. Yeah, for a certain city, of course. Yeah, and sometimes when we do that, it's going to even go to a deeper MLS area. So, for example, Crest is different than West Palos Verdes, different than East View. So it's different. So we're not going to take all of Rancho Palos Verdes. For example, Torrance has 5 zip codes, and each zip code of those 5 has different MLS areas. So you got to be specific in the MLS area when you're doing your research.
Now, say for example, if the client asks you, hey James, how long does a home usually stay on the market that's priced around 1.5 million? Is that a question that people sometimes ask? And then
no, because it depends. 1.5 million. What's the comparables to that? Because you always have to use comparables.
Sure.
So, but that's a very good question. I see your point. When you do an average days on market, because you're preparing a comparative market analysis. When you're comparing single-family homes in a specific MLS area in a zip code, you're going to compare, for example, single-family homes that are in the range 2,000 square feet. You're not going to compare it to a single-family home 4,000 square feet or one that's 4 bedrooms compared to a 2 bedrooms. You got to get something that's comparable. So then we can tell you if the 1.5 how long is it going to take. But we're going to get to that when we go to further into the Ignite sessions. Yeah. So we need to know the average days on number of market. Another thing, what is the average price in a home in your market sells for, the average price. So we need to know the average price it would sell. But we got to take care about that. Sometimes using the average price is not the most accurate thing to use because there could be outliers that distort the number. What does that mean? For example, in Rancho Palos Verdes, you can find a home that sells for 1.2 million. And you can see a home that's a fixer that sells for 800 because it's totally damaged. And you can find a home in the same city in Rancho Palos Verdes that sells for $15 million. So if we take the average for the values, the number will be distorted. So what's the best statistic measure we can use? It's called the median price. That's why we hear that term a lot in real estate, median list price or median sale price. And what does the median does? It takes, instead of taking like the 20 homes that sold and taking an average, it organizes them in sequence, an ascending order, and then takes the two middle numbers and divides it by 2. That will be the most representative of what the house should sell for. Okay, next one. Based on the inventory, what type of real estate market you're in. So of course, when we know the inventory and we see the calculation that I mentioned where we divide the active listings by the prior month's sales, and we know the month of inventory, we can be able to determine if it's a seller's market or a buyer's market. Okay, now that's the second one. In know your market, we know the type of market. Now we know the inventory. Now let's see the third thing we need to know about knowing your market. Any questions about inventory so far, by the way?
Yeah, I apologize.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
It was the first question right there. What is the inventory of your market? What's a good way to answer that question? Like, what are you telling them? Like that formula we just did there, where it's about 5 months. Like on, do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I know what you mean. That's a very good question. Well, you need to know if the inventory is short or we have excess inventory. Right now we have short inventory in most cities. That's why it's a seller's market. So the best way to know that is, like, if you attended the team meeting today, there were some statistics that show year over year and month over month, like inventory decreased compared to prior month. Inventory for April this year is less than it was last year. That's year over year. So we can be able to determine based on that if the inventory is going up or down year over year or month over month. And there's also seasonal factors. In winter time, it's usually the inventory is low. It's supposed to increase. And as John mentioned today, the peak season is May. That's when the houses really go on the market. So we're expecting the inventory to increase. And even if you look on the list on Broker's Tour for up the hill, there's it's a page and a half. So a lot of inventory is starting to show up. So we always compare to year over year, month over month. And there are reports that you can get from the Market Center. You can ask John and he will, be able to provide you with that.
Thank you.
You're welcome, yeah. Third thing we need to know about knowing your market is interest rates and lender regulations. So we have a primary lender here, Dustin Sanders. He's very good, of course. He likes very much giving information and talking about details just like I do. He's very good. So whenever you ask him for something, he'll give you all the information you need that you can use to communicate that information to your clients. It's always good to be on top of knowing what the interest rate is, even though it's not your area, but at least have an idea if the interest rate went up today or down, because sometimes the question, you're going to run into somebody, so how are the interest rates today? So when you appear you don't know, and it's an honest mistake, and it's not your area, it may give the impression that you're not a busy person. Okay, so always know, and it's easy to Google and see what happened to the interest rates, and always Dustin gives us, he sends a blast email to all the office about what's going on in the loans and loan markets. And it's good also to know do you guys provide that information somehow so we may share to the public? I think this is lazy. No, it's not. No, it's not lazy, Maria. It's okay. I like that question. No. So she's asking. It's okay. Do you guys provide that information? And she thinks if it's a lazy thing. No, it's not lazy. If you find a way that you can get information quickly, this is not lazy. As long as you utilize that information when you get it. So of course, Dustin does send a weekly email, and sometimes the office sends emails about what's going on in the market. Always reads. Remember, in the daily success system that we have, that there is enrichments. So learn something new. Whenever you learn something new, just communicate to your clients. Use it as an excuse to send them an email. By the way, interest rates are going down or expected to go down, and inventory, whatever you want information you got, okay? It's always good to have an idea about what loan programs are there, because, for example, some people are struggling to get a down payment. But let's say that person works in the military. What you tell them, if you get a VA loan, because you're eligible for a VA loan since you're in the military, a VA loan is 0% down payment. You can bring that up. Let me arrange a meeting with my lender. Something like that. So you always have to know what's going on in the loan program. So it's good to have an idea about what's going on in the loan and loan regulations. Just the highlights, because you're not supposed to discuss laws of lending. You just When it goes into details, you tell them, I advise you to speak with my preferred lender, and here's his number, and you just give, for example, your preferred lender, let's say Dustin, heads up, my potential client is going to call you. Any questions?
So Dustin's available for us to use is that a must for us to use Dustin?
No, you don't have to use Dustin, but if you want to, he's highly recommended, but you don't have to if you don't want to.
He's our preferred in-house.
He's preferred, yeah. He's very friendly. He always, yeah.
He's here all the time?
Well, he's here most of the time, but he's always has access to his phone. Sometimes he answers when he's on vacation, so that's good. And he has a partner with him who covers also when he's not available sometimes, yeah. So. And as we're talking about lenders, always make sure when you partner with a lender, that lender is really knowledgeable and experienced, because just like in real estate, anybody can get a license and become a real estate agent and doesn't know what he's doing. Same thing with loans, and even worse. Anybody can get an MLS license and become a lender, and they don't know what they're doing. All they do, oh no, come to me, I get you the loan, but he doesn't have the good knowledge or the expertise in order to pull the loan off. So you may enter into escrow, and then the escrow falls because the lender did not do his due diligence or job well. So beware of those, because as new agents, you're going to get calls from lenders who got their license new and tell you, oh yeah, send me clients. And he's giving this call to every single agent, because that's how they make their business. That's how they lead generate. They connect with agents. So you got to make sure you're working with a lender who is really qualified, for the job, because that lender that you're hooking up with your client is going to be an image of you. So I fell into the mistake in my early career, like 7 years ago, when I connected with a lender who wasn't that good. He was just a friend who got a license, and I thought he was good, but so it was a bad image for me. Okay, any questions so far? Okay. Fourth factor in knowing your market, economic factors. Economic factors play an important role in agents' understanding of the market. Knowing like the employment and unemployment rate of your market. So why would we care about the unemployment rate from your point of view, guys? Why is that important? Okay, yes, in a way, yeah, because if unemployment rates is high, that means a lot of people lost their jobs. That means, they most likely won't be able to afford their mortgage and there'll be foreclosure. But the risk of foreclosure is not high right now in general for two reasons. Because unemployment rate right now is very low. Surprisingly, that's the only thing in the economy going good. Everything else is down the rails. But that's the only thing that's going on right now. The other thing is most people, most people have a lot of equity in their homes, which is historically a record, So even if, assuming someone loses his job, he has a lot of equity. He can, take cash out or sell the home and make a lot of money. So it's not going to be at a point where he has, because also there's a lot of shortage of inventory. So in order for foreclosures to happen, he has to be forced to sell, and there has to be a flood of homes in the market. So even though foreclosure homes are increasing slightly, but they're not increasing at a significant rate because of the reasons I told you. So employment is important for two reasons, as you mentioned. One, for the sellers, because it would make them forced to sell their home, and more important for the buyers, because as long as they have a job, they're going to qualify for loans, and so they will be able to purchase homes. That's why I have a lot of buyers in the market. One of the reasons is unemployment rate is so low. A lot of people are working, so they're qualifying for loans. The only just obstacle they have right now, which is not really stopping them, is the high interest rates. Next factor, how many workers are entering or exiting the workforce in your market? Another thing, so same thing, workers are coming and leaving. So the other question, what is the growth rate of your community? A lot of people are moving to the city you're looking in. So if a lot of people are coming in, that means there's more buyers coming into the markets. So it's a hot market, you got to know that. Has government made any changes to the rules and regulations that might affect the housing market, And And the good thing about our market center and KW in general, they always give you updates about what new regulations happen so that you're aware. Like when the ADU was a hot topic and everybody can make an ADU, now they made regulations that you can sell part of the lots separately. There was a lot of things that come up. Like, for example, the CalHAFA down payment assistant with loans. That was something that's just for California. When you know that and you had a potential buyer who's looking to buy but he has struggling with down payment, you can tell him about that. He might not be necessarily in the military to get a VA loan, but he can qualify for that. So you would just arrange an appointment with your preferred lender. So that's the economic factors. Now for the other factors is the neighborhood numbers. So when you know you're working with a seller in a certain city or a buyer, know the nearby shops and restaurants, okay? The one that are, important landmarks, not, you don't have to. Another thing, the nearby health facilities. Another thing, neighborhood attractions. What are the good neighborhood attractions? So this would show that you know about the neighborhood, especially for sellers, because you're going to point that out in the description of the home you're selling to attract buyers to see why this is a good home. And to the buyers you're working with, because you would tell them, it's good, you're going to be near a shopping center or you're going to be near Disney, for example. You're going to 5 minutes away from Disney, which I had a one-time listing at that point in time near Disney. So any ahas or questions or takeaways so far? And Zoom, feel free to unmute and ask if you have any questions or takeaways.
Just the simple fact that unemployment rate really affects the...
Yes, yeah. That's the economic factors, yeah. One thing, inflation that wasn't mentioned here, and the economic factors has an effect as well, because the building material got expensive. So the builders now, when they build homes, they have to raise the prices as well. So sometimes people argue, but house market is going to crash and prices are going to go down. So what's the basis? Home prices are determined by supply and demand. They're not determined by what's going on in the economy. So you got to be ready to, with your knowledge, to handle those objections, because you're going to find people who don't have the knowledge. You will be the source of that knowledge to them. And you're going to have people who have wrong knowledge, misinformation. Yeah, and you're going to correct that information with logic and speak to it, Yes?
Do you have any podcasts or any speakers that you personally listen to other than Keller Williams?
Funny, it's a good idea to do that, but actually I don't know. No, I don't. I just do my own research, and when I see a topic that I like, I just make a video about it. But it's a good idea to listen to podcasts about real estate, whatever, but I didn't look at anybody to follow.